Right, hi, my name's Pete, welcome to the channel. New series of videos coming out on the Driffield to Selby line. We're covering Driffield to Market Weighton. First episode, Driffield train station, we'll get you onto the edge of town, Kelley Thorp signal box, and we'll continue from there. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please consider subscribing to the channel, it is completely free. Right, so we're now at Driffield train station. You can see behind me the entrance there. We'll go over and have a quick closer look at that, because there are one or two things here that are original and still here, so we will go and have a quick look at those. So I've turned the camera around at Driffield train station. That pinnacle there used to have a track at the other side, one at this side. That was for unloading and loading goods, that area. We'll cover that in another episode. And then there used to be some huts here and another track that ran up there and also up to that fence and had buffers on. There's an original white gateway there. It's not ancient, but it's old enough. But if we look up here, the canopy is not original, but this ironwork here is, and we've got 4 of those. Now, Driffield was a busy station at one time. Over there used to be a pub called the Railway, had a huge beer garden, but sadly that's gone. That used to be, I believe, part of the Railway Hotel. That's the station, and that was the station master's house. We'll have a quick look on the platform. So this is our crossing here. There used to be a signal box here, and there's a photograph or two taken from that side there, and I'll put those on. And that was our platform that you would catch to Market Weighton. And there's another crossing down there, and we'll go down there in a moment. So I've just come a little bit further up. That's our railway station there. This is Skene Road crossing, and I've come here to show you this signal box. This is the last one remaining. Driffield used to have 5 of these, and this is the only one that's still in operation. Now, roughly where that hut is, a bit further behind there maybe, there used to be a turntable. There are no photographs of that turntable that are known, so if there's any in your family collection, please let me know, because I would like a copy of that. And then our track used to diverge up more or less through that hedge, and we're going to try and get the track bed there before we get to where used to be the West Box on Beverley Road. So I've been a bit cheeky and I've asked to come inside the signal box that we were just looking at from the outside. Amy, who's currently working here, has been kind enough to let me in, and surprisingly enough there is an original feature in here. Yeah, most of it is electronic and digital, but I want to show you this. So what we're looking at here is an original cast iron piece of equipment for lowering the wickets, I've learned they've called. This isn't staying here much longer. It is going to I believe what might be a heritage railway, possibly, but that's still there. The workings are still underneath. Well, how amazing was that? We'll continue our journey. Thank you to Amy for letting me in there and showing me around and having a look, and we'll get onto the track bed. Now a little bit further on from the signal box, this is the track bed at the back of some houses on Beverley Road. We can see an original gate there and a fence post here, but you can, I hope the camera's picking it up, you can see through there all that flat bit where the ivy is drops off here. It's a small cutting, a foot or two deep, and that's the original track bed there. And then we'll go up to Beverley Road signal box. So just to continue on, we were just over there. This is the gate I was pointing out. It would have been a farmer's access across the line. Now over this line it would have been 2 tracks. These would have taken you off to Market Weighton and Middleton. We're going up that way. You can see cutting, that there is it actually in the cutting, and that's where the track bed is, going off towards Beverley Road. Right, here we are. This is where West Box was. It's gone. That is the crossing there, and that house is called something like Middleton Crossing, and it would have come straight across there. We're going to go onto this housing estate here, because the road, the rails did split a little bit further up there, and we'll try and match a picture up. So this is round the back of the signal box here, the West Box, and that's what street we're on now. And our line would have roughly followed that fence. We'll get up there a little bit further. So where we are now is roughly where the track bed was, and right where that house is in the end there, that's where the points were, and that's where it split off. It would be going left to Market Weighton, and then it would go right to Middleton. There is a photograph taken from about here, so we'll try and insert that for you. And we're going to be from here on, we have to miss the outer section because it's all built on, there's a housing estate, there's nothing there, and then we'll join it at a river. Don't look to be a lot here, but I can assure you there used to be a bridge here, and there are some remains. Now I can remember coming across this bridge to go into the Driffield showground. I've got no idea why it was knocked down. The only reason I can suspect is that that's a housing estate over there now, and it would have been free access to the Driffield showground, so who knows why they're taking it down. I will show you what remains. It has been pretty much obliterated. So what we're looking at now, to get a bit of sense from where we've been, through there is the housing estate, and probably maybe half a mile is West Box. We're still coming out of Driffield, we're now on the outskirts of Driffield. There would have been an abutment there and a 2 or 3 arch bridge coming across here. It's all been destroyed, the abutments have gone on both sides. I'll show you this here, absolutely nothing there. And that is our track bed up here. But what I can show you is, all being well, you can see that line of bricks. Remember, this was 2 tracks. That is where your bridge was. The abutment of that side is gone. It's all gone at this side. And what we'll do is we'll get past here and we will rejoin the track bed, and we'll go on to Kelley Thorp gatehouse. Just before we leave where the bridge was, which was just down there, we've got more evidence of the railway than just a little bit of brick. My brother here is holding this, which is a bit of clinker taken out of the engine box, and there is loads of it round here. I'll take you down to the ground level so you can have a look. You can see it all there, and we've even got a piece of unburnt coal. So more evidence to support this is where our bridge is, but it's as clear as day when we get up there and get back onto the track bed. So this is our track bed. It's been used as a storage area here. Would have been raised up. This would have been a bit of an embankment, and then we're going to follow that road, which is the track bed, and then roughly about there is another bridge, and we'll show you what remains of that. A little bit further down the track, our bridge being there, this is the actual track bed, and it's on a raised embankment going across here, and you can just see the top of a bridge there. I'll go around and I will show you that, and you can also see the embankment, what it used to be on. It's not a big one. This was a fairly level line. Now they'd have probably been getting power on, steaming across here. This is our bridge. This covers a beck. It is in poor condition, but you can see there's fancy brick there. We've got the railway blue brick. It has been a bit modernised through there, and then we've got this topper here, and then once we've crossed this bridge, this road still being the track bed goes all the way through there, and there is what was a signal box and a gate crossing there, so we'll go there next, and that's at Kelley Thorp. I've just come over to the other side of that bridge just for completion, because we can see a little bit more. Yes, it does have a huge grate over there, but we can still see the brickwork. And I reckon if you could get in there, I reckon the arch would still be perfect. It's just these edges that have been a bit damaged, repaired there, overflow pipes put in here, but that's the original part, and the arch is in there. Just goes to testify to how good the engineering was and the craftsmanship. Like I say, the only parts that are getting damaged are the parts that are exposed to the elements since the line opened in what, 1890. So that's been there a long time. There's our road. That'll be off to our signal box and crossing keeper's cottage, but again I'll just show you down to the ground. We've got clinker pretty much everywhere around this bridge as well. Now we'll get down to the crossing. Here we are, a little bit further down the line. Our bridges are back that way. Moving forward, this is our signal box, and this is roughly where the line will have crossed. There is a photograph taken from around here which I will match up for you at the end of the video. Around there was the signal box, and this is the old Kelley Thorp crossing keeper's cottage. Now they must be proud of the railway heritage, because they've got the sign up, the gatehouse, Kelley Thorp. Now I think the line used to go through that way there, and that's the way we're going to try and get at some point. We are continuing on with the Driffield to Market Weighton railway line. We're now at Kelley Thorp. We're going to try and go on all the way up to the next station. We should see that this episode, all being well. And let's crack on, let's go up there and see what there is. We are now across the road at Kelley Thorp, with the signal box being there. It's our cottage there, and the track bed, we think, will have gone slightly down that way there, so we'll try and get down there. There is a bridge, so hopefully we can get to it. So cottage being there, track bed sweeping down here, and now we're on it. Over the years it has been gone up and down a little bit, but over there's a bit of a hump in the ground, and there's supposed to be a bridge there. I've never seen it before, so let's go, let's have a look, and we'll get some pictures of this bridge. So that's where I was just talking about here, where I think this would have been a 6 or 7 foot embankment. It's all been taken away. There is absolutely no sign that there was once a railway there. The only thing that may give it away to you is a hump here. And this is about 6 foot higher to where I was just stood. And I'm led to believe that there is a bridge around here somewhere, I'm going to try and get some pictures of it for you. There's the beck, there's the top of the wall there on this side, there's the beck there. Can't quite see the wall at this side, the undergrowth is a bit much at the moment, so we'll see if we can get down there and look back at the bridge at one of these sides. So we've managed to come down the embankment here. This looks like what could potentially be original fencing from when this railway was built, and this is our bridge. It's in a bit of a state of disrepair, but this is only the face, what gets all the weather, the cold, the damp and the water. But if we can see inside the arch, it is in fabulous condition. Now I'm pretty certain we're not going to be able to get down the other side, so we can only go about a further 200 yards across the top of this bridge. So this is our bridge here, back on the original track bed level. Now we can only go as far as there. Up there is open farmers' fields, well cultivated. You can see a bit of track from Google Earth, and I've just put you down the embankment here. We've got some fence posts there, a fence post there, there's a few of those around, and we can only get as far as here, so there's no point in going any further, and we'll pick up the track bed at the other side of all the cultivated land. Now we've got back onto the track bed. Now about 15-20 metres that way is a field, and it's all thicket to get through, and there isn't a lot left for this track. It was soon lifted after it closed down. So behind there's about 3 fields that have all been ploughed, levelled out, and it was a slight embankment, and now we've caught up with that slight embankment 3 fields over, and we'll continue on and we'll show you what's left. Just bear with me, I'll turn you around and I'll show you something. Now that's the direction we're going, travelling towards Southburn Station, our next stop. But on our trek to where we are now, all down the right hand side are typical concrete railway posts. I can get through here, so I can get in there and show you a little bit closer. They've got modern wiring on them, but through there, when I get a bit further up there, I'll show you them a bit closer. But on the left hand side, it's all modern and fairly new wood. They've all been replaced. So we've got a couple of miles to walk up there. We're on a slight embankment, and it is pretty much a slight embankment all the way through to Southburn Station. Then we can get through here, and I can show you one of these railway posts. What still exists, there's hundreds of them all down this side of the line. As you can see, are the concrete posts. We'll get back onto the embankment. I've got all that thicket there to get through, and when I come across some, I'll switch it on and I'll show you it. So we've come a few hundred yards up. There is a railway bridge there. Film that when we get to it. We've still got concrete posts all up this side, but what we've found in the undergrowth down here, I don't know what it is. Perhaps a base of a signal post there. It is really quite substantial metal. It's really thick. Fixed into the ground, we can't move it, but next to it we've also got that iron rod there. Potentially an earthing cable or an anchorage or something like that for this, and we think this might have been a signal. We're not certain why. Fairies everywhere, But what we do know is there's a farmer's gate here on the embankment and a bridge there, but really the station's probably, what, I don't know, a mile away?
Mile and a half.
Further that way, so we don't know if that was a signal post or not. Okay, so we'll carry on. To get a look at that bridge, we've come off the embankment, we've come over the farmer's gate, and we've noticed these remains of some sleepers. They have been cut off, they're only short sections. When they were taking the track up, they more than likely cut them. Thought I'm not coming back for them four and left them. So we're going to go through there and try and get a look at that bridge. I'm hoping you can see that. This is as close as we're going to get. It's just through there, you can see the arch. It's got the forecourse going round the edge. Top of the bridge has crumbled away, so we can't see that. And it's got that same sort of angled brick lining the arch, like what we saw in the first video at Driffield Showground. If you've not seen that, go back and have a look. And that is pretty much as that bridge as we're going to get to see. Here we are on top of the bridge, and we've found a telegraph pole being repurposed. Whether that's original or not, we're not sure, but as I said, looking at the decomposition of it, good chance. Now there's the bridge edge there, nothing above, no parapet there. We'll go over to the other side here. I'm going to try and wave you over the edge to see if you can get any images. Now look at that, I can't see where the actual edge is, so I do not want to fall down there into what looks fairly stagnant. Now I'm just going to tip you over. Don't look like you can see anything. Now our way to Kirkburn is pretty much in between that line of trees there and what goes through that wood, so it's all overgrown there, and we'll pick you up in that wood because we do have another bridge. Now our track bed where we've just come from is about there, and I'm stood it right in the centre of it now. I'm going to turn around and I'll show you where it goes. Straight through there, straight through that hole. There is a bridge in there which I'll show you. We're going to go through probably about 20 metres of wood, which is just overgrown. There's no relics or remnants except the bridge, so I'll switch you on when we get back to that bridge. So to update you, we've just come through the field. The wood is at the other side of this field here. This is where the line would come, and then straight up there. This here is a bridge. Again, it's a similar style, it seems to me so far. All the bridges we've come across covering waterways, and they're all of the same design. You can see that there. This one we can see the blue brick on the top. We've got the forecourse with the angled fascia bricks on end, and round there. I can't get any closer to that side. We will have a quick nip over to the other side of the bridge, which is there. So I'm glad I tried to get to the other side. This is really quite special. You can see how tall that archway is there, and we've got a little waterfall coming out into quite a deep river. Imagine there's trout in here. It's probably about half a metre where we are, and it does look to probably get about a metre deep around there. But look at that, how beautiful is that? Got our blue brick around it. It doesn't look like it's failing off to the side, it looks like it was deliberately built that way, and we've just got that little chute coming down into here. Absolutely lovely, hope you're enjoying that. Okay, so our track coming through this way, our lovely arch down there for that bridge. Then we're going up here, This is back on the track bed. Next stop, Southburn Station. Okay, so I'm back here on a different day now because I ran out of time the other day. This is where we've come from, and where I'm stood now would have been a level crossing across this road. About here would have been a signal box. On the other side of the hedge would have been a pedestrian crossing, and the station is through there, and then just behind that car there, and just behind that car there, are station cottages. Those are still standing, and that's where the coal drops were, and the goods line where that came in, and then through there, like I say, is where the station was. So we'll go over and we'll have a look at the railway cottages. This is where we were, just here, and these are station cottages. Now down in there is where the sidings were, and the goods line for coal and goods, and this is where the staff will have lived. Station master, perhaps the gatekeeper, maybe somebody for working on the goods side of things. 3 cottages there. The sign up there does say station cottages. If we look down here, we've got original gateways for the railway. And at that side, and these ones here, we've still got the catch on the top there of where the gate used to be. So we'll go into the site of the station and I'll tell you a little bit about it while we're in there. So here we are. This is the platform edge down there, and that building there is where the station was. There are some photographs which I will match up and I'll put them on. Now it's difficult to get any bearings with it. The only landmark we have is the remains of the platform, which I'll show you shortly. So this is the remains of Southburn Station. It opened the 1st of May 1890 and it closed on the 20th of September 1954 to passengers. But the line through and the goods sheds over there, the goods and coal sidings, remained open until 1964. It fell victim to beaching cuts. Sorry. It had 2 facing platforms, and it also had a total of 3 sidings and a 2-ton loading crane, and this was all demolished soon after closure. Now it's difficult to see that there, but we will go down here because we can get in there. This is the track bed. It's ever such a slight cutting down. Now that line there is where the other side of the platform was, but it's been demolished as that one. But this side where the station was is still here, and we'll go a little bit further up. There is really not a lot left. Of this at all. Now somewhere just slightly beyond this hump here is where the wooden crossing would have been for the pedestrians to get to the other platform at that side. Now there's really next to nothing left down here, but there is some facing bricks what I can get close to, just to give you a bit more of a definition that there is actually, or was, something here. There you go. This is all that remains. The copings are missing from the top. It is documented that they went missing. Now, interestingly enough, it's been reported at this station there was an aircraft accident, and it was by a Gloucester Meteor aircraft, a Mark 7. It had 2 occupants and it set off from Driffield airfield, and that was its destination. It was a training ship, a training plane, sorry. And the local rumours have it is that it crashed into the station. whereas any evidence of that is difficult to come across. I've not found anything other than it crashed at Southburn. Now it's likely, I think, that it crashed local to the station, close by, and this happened on the 20th of November in 1951. It killed the pilot who was training and the trainer pilot. And there we are, look, there is more platform edge. This is right where the station building was. Like I said, we will line up some photographs for you, but we will walk right to the edge of the platform, right to the end. We can see it here, you can see the brickwork down there. And down here as well, bits of old wood down there as well. I don't see a lot else. I don't see any platform on the other side. Now, as you can see, it is all quite overgrown. Again, well, I'll go down here if I can, because that is probably the deepest bit of platform we'll get to see. And it more or less finished just through there, and the line continues up through there, up through the undergrowth and on. However, there is a spur just a little bit further up that goes round to the left. Not many people know about that, and if you want to know about that, you're going to have to come back for the next episode. So where we are now, the railway cottages are there, and our plan is to go through there. We can't go that way in reality because it's all ploughed and farmers' field. So the next spot we're going to is what's called Bainton Crossing, and that's where we'll catch up there. I've made it round from Bainton railway station, which is in those trees behind us up there. That's it. Now what we can see here is an embankment, and I'll turn it round and I'll show you exactly where we are. Now that there is Bainton railway station, the cottages, and you can clearly excuse me, you can clearly see this embankment here. Now we are in between Bainton station and Bainton crossing. We've come along the edge of a field which has got a footpath at the side of it. Now this is taken up onto the embankment. There was a signal post around here, but we're not finding any evidence of that. So where I am is a transition point. That's my brother there who's with me. That's the railway track bed. You can see it's all overgrown, dividing the fields. And then at this point, the ground levels out. There has been a bit of infill going on here, or rubble piled up at the end of that embankment, but then we go into a cut-in and then past Bainton gatekeeper's cottage and across the road and then into Middleton. Now what we have found while we've been walking here is a lot of boundary posts. You can see that there. We've had to walk up the track to get to this point. But then this now drops into a cut-in up to Bainton Gate Crossing. I will show you how deep this gets, about 12-15 feet in places. As we get a little bit further down, we'll nip onto it and I'll show you what it looks like. Quick recap, that's our embankment, that's where the rubbish was. This is fairly level here, but this goes into a cut-in. And we can see a lot of railway fence posts here. These are the original boundary markers for the railway, and you can probably see a bit of a shadow there. That's where the cutting's starting to go down. You might be able to just see that little bit of white there. That is the crossing keeper's cottage, and we'll get there shortly. I've come a little bit further down. This is where the direction we're coming from, but I'd like to show you to start here that the cutting is now getting a bit deeper. Nice flat bottom, and then we're going up at the other side, and this is where they're heading, down towards Middleton on the Wolds eventually. So this is the side, and that is the nice flat track bed. Go like that, you can see down here. Yeah, there's a tree there, but you know, nice and flat. And then it goes up at the other side, a little bit more overgrown, and we'll continue on the line down that way. So the track bed we've been following along is this cutting here, which then begins to level out about there. I did show you the deepest part, which was about here. It's all private land belonging to this property here. Now that has been turned into garden. That is a track bed. Behind there is a private residence that's extensions onto the original crossing keeper's cottage, and we'll have a look at that from the road. We won't spend too long looking at it. I'll just point out what it is, and then we'll cross the road, and then we'll get to Middleton railway station. This is now Bainton Road railway crossing, this being the road. This was the gatekeeper's cottage. This is the only original part that's left. There are no original features inside the building. I do know, because I've been in there. I do know the people that live here. Our track bed goes basically where the extension is. Crosses here. We've walked all down that cutting, is where we've just come from. And it crossed exactly here. Now there is a photograph taken from about there, so I'll insert that now. Now there's our crossing keeper's cottage. The track came straight across where I am and then through here. I am actually stood on the track bed, believe it or not. Now I've had to walk down here to access this area and somewhere for safe to leave the car. But this has all been a bit built up and dumped on. We'll get through this and I'll show you what remains of the track bed up there. Now I've made it back onto the track bed. Behind us we're leaving Bainton Road crossing. Thank you to the owners for being quite happy about letting us film that. It's always nice to have permission of the people who own, live and maintain these properties. Now we're back on the track bed and we're heading towards Middleton on the Wolds. Middleton on the Wolds did have a railway station, and I will tell you about that when I get there. As I mentioned, we've had to walk this way to access everything that we've seen so far. But what I can do is I can turn the camera around shortly, because there are a fair few telltale signs and relics of this railway. I say a fair few, don't get too excited. There is some interesting stuff to see. So I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you those. I've now turned the camera around. It is a slight cutting, only of a few feet. I'd probably say that. Probably about 5 feet. Might have been 6 feet originally. But the reason I'm turning the camera around here is to show you that gate, that post there. It's not gate post, that post there and there. All that side of concrete. And then if I go over to this side, we can see through there, believe me, like there, they are all wooden fence posts, and they're lining the route all the way down. So the demarcation lines are still here. But what I'm walking on is just constant evidence of railway. Look at the colour of this soil here. Black. I'm going to zoom in because we've got bits of coal and bits of clinker. And my brother Steve has got this to show us. Absolutely huge piece of clinker from this railway line. Incredible. Now our route takes us back down this way. I'll switch the camera on a little bit further down, almost when we're at the station, and I'll show you what relics we can find down there. This being our track bed here, that way being from Driffield, that way going towards our next station at Middleton on the Wolds, Market Weighton, and then on to Selby. It is a public footpath this, it is maintained, it is in remarkable condition, and there is just evidence everywhere. We've got the original fence demarcation line still in place most of the way down. Same at the other side, all still concrete ones. We're not far from the station now, but if you were on a steam train back in the day coming along here, this is your view outside your window, just skirmishing the Yorkshire Wolds, and that way towards Middleton. We're going to continue on down the line. If I see anything of interest, like for example, bit of more clinker there. Never seen so much clinker in all my life in any of these railway walks. So this must have been somewhere they were definitely clearing out the fireboxes constantly along this part. And we'll continue on down the line. So it's a glorious day for filming. You can see that in the skies. Bainton that way, slight cutting as I was showing you. It got to about 8 feet deep, and then it levelled out about there, and now we're going on to an embankment. Not terribly high, 6 feet max at that side, and a little bit less at that side because the land is dropping off that way. And again, beautiful views off your carriage. And we're going to continue on, and we'll get down to the station shortly. Right, we're almost at Middleton on the Wolds station in front of me, what direction I'm going. But where I am now is roughly where the track started widening out for sidings near the signal box. I'll put a little picture of that up for you now in the corner so you can see that. You can see the signal box there, and then you can see it just starting widening off for the sidings, because this station did have sidings. Also had a goods shed. I'll get down there and we'll show you what's left of the station. So I am stood where the signal box was. It's just a council yard for tipping stone now. I'll turn the camera around, give you a bit more bearing on it. So where my brother is stood is about where the signal box was, maybe a little bit more towards us. That at the back there is just mounded up, but that joins on to what remains of the platform. So you had two lines going that way, and then at this point you had points going down there and widening out into this area here, which was the station yard. Where that house is, there would have been coal drops, a goods shed, and down where this path is roughly where the station was. There are a few relics along the platform. I will show you those, and I'll also try and match up some photographs as well. So it's difficult to see what's left of this station. There's virtually nothing to go off, but there is some things. Now I'll turn the camera around and I'll point out things where I think they were, and we could get a pretty good clue on where things were as well, for the reasons I'm about to show you. Now that is the way we've come from, and in the centre of there was our signal box. I'll see if I can get a little map up every now and again in the corner pointing some things out to you. So that signal box, there was points there, track went off that way to the sidings, main track came down here. This is all raised where I'm stood. Now I'm not certain about that bit, but that may have been platform, and it's quite possible that it's buried underneath where I'm stood. Now I think the station building itself was here, and where that new building is there is roughly where the goods shed was, which means I'm stood on a platform, but it's buried. I don't know if it's actually under here or not, but I suspect it is. I think if you dig down and dug this edge away, you'd fairly soon come across the platform edge. And how do I know this is the platform? Well, we've got clues. We've got our railway post demarcation line here, but what we do have are two concrete posts of where the signboard used to be. This being one here, and then if we go to the side there, that there. That is pretty much where there was a sign that would have said Middleton on the Wolds. Now next to that is something a bit more interesting as well. Is this concrete post. That's an original lamppost, and if we look at the bottom of it there, we've got that shape coming out where you would step onto it to reach up to change the bulb. Now that's quite a drop down there. This would have had fences. We can see that there. There was also that line there, that's brickwork. But what I can show you is, as we walk along this platform edge, which is now all totally covered up, but I believe there are some photographs of this platform edge online for you to look at if you wish to. I'm hoping to see what I saw earlier, because most of it has collapsed and gone. Here we go, there. This concrete wall is a retaining wall. Now that would have gone all the way along here, all the way along to support the back of this platform. We'll go a little bit further down and we can see some more of that retaining wall here, just in the centre of your screen there. And you can see where it's been collapsing and falling away there. And I suspect down there, if you were to rummage about, you might even be able to see more concrete lampposts, or perhaps even signposts. And as I'm looking now, it looks like that's exactly what I've got here. I'm hoping you can see that through there. I will point it out to you. Here, straight concrete post. Can I get any closer to that? It looks like I can, yeah. Oh, this is magnificent. This is wonderful. There you go. And we've also got the foot rest at the bottom. Now what we can see here is the original fencing. It's even got these lateral ones across attached to the perpendicular ones, and the retaining wall going all the way down there. But I believe where I am now is the actual original drop off for the platform edge, which puts me right in harm's way, right on the track bed. Our station was there, platform here, two lines coming down, going straight through here, down that way, and down to the original gate posts. Now there are some photographs of this station, and I will put those in for you as I head down to the original gates. As we leave the station, we can see all this edging, all this supporting wall. Now I've had a bit of a rummage around here and I have found something that is, I've had to dig it out, but I've found it and I just think it is totally amazing. You got to remember, this is days of steam and cast iron, and it's this, that wheel there. To me, that looks like something off a porter's trolley. I'll just show you that a bit more. You can see the pin in the end there. We can see it is a separate wheel. Unfortunately, it has been broken, but that is what I have found. I'm amazed that that's even here. So this station had two facing platforms with a two-storey station master's house, and it had half a timbered decorative gables, which were uncommon for the North Eastern Railway architecture. It also had waiting rooms and a booking office up there. Now this is the original gateway to the station. We can see we've actually got the posts. One's laid down, one stood up. Now it opened in about 1890, I think it was, this line, and this station itself closed on the 20th of the 9th 1954 for passengers, but it opened for freight until 1964, the 27th of the 1st 64. I'm only a few days past that now, actually, in 2024. But there we can see another original gate post. But what's magnificent about this one is we've still got the gate attached to it, and I will show you that. Look at the craftsmanship of this ironwork on here. You don't get that anymore. Yes, it's knackered, it's destroyed, but it is still there. And for a collector, those bits of ironwork are still worth saving. Now, after closure in 1964, the buildings were soon demolished. The signal box, it originally had 16 levers, was sited at the north end of the platform, and it controlled access to the goods yard, which is roughly where these buildings are, like where that new house is over there. It had 4 sidings, and one of them passed through the actual goods shed, but it's gone. Absolutely nothing left. It had a 5-ton loading crane amongst that lot. That's gone. No base there for that. The station buildings for here were demolished in 1970s. And it barely made any money at all. And that is your Middleton on the Wolds railway station. Our line continues down here, crosses that road bridge, Station Road, onto quite a high embankment, and then our next station is Enthorpe. With the gatepost there in the background, we're going to be leaving Middleton on the Wolds and we're going to be heading to Enthorpe station. What you can see behind me is I'm stood on the track bed of what was the railway station at Middleton on the Wolds, and ahead of me we're going to be going onto an embankment. I'll just turn the camera around and I'll point a couple of things out to you. I'm out with my brother again today. This is the site of the station, roughly where that pile of rubble is. This is a platform, and that there is the track bed. And I'll turn around this way and you can see how clear that track bed is there. This is the actual track bed here. Here is the edge of a supporting wall, which would have supported the embankment that we're on at this side. I can show you that down there. You can see these wooden posts still in situ, the brickwork down there. This continues on and it ends just here, and then it goes into an actual embankment. That side is fairly level, but there are houses over there that are a bit lower than what the station road level is. This would have all been the goods yard where the units are, and there was an engine shed over there and a crane, all demolished, all gone. That there is the original gate post. This is all in the last episode. Go back and see it. We'll go right up to there because there's some interesting metalwork there. And this is our track bed. Now we are lucky to be able to walk on this bit, because as you can see, if you look ahead, there is no way I am going to try and get through that. So what we'll do is we'll go down the side there on this road here, which was the original roadway up to the station, and I'll show you that embankment because you can get a bit of a clearer view of it really. Down there is Station Road. This is the road up to the station itself. You can see that embankment rising. There did used to be a bridge at the bottom there, but that has now been demolished. I was informed that I think that someone said it was in the 1970s that got demolished. Already this embankment here is probably getting up to about 15 to 20 feet, and it does go quite significantly higher up there. It is a fairly flat line so far. If you go back and watch some of the videos, you'll see there's no tunnels, there's no viaducts. There are a couple of big bridges that remain, and if we look here we'll see what we've got that remains around this side here. This is where the bridge was. Now I've been trying my best to get a hold of a photograph of this bridge and I can't find one. I've been searching for a year. That's how long it takes to research some of these videos. Your wall would have been here somewhere, likely there. The road was likely more narrow than what it was. Because we're in a small village, this would have likely been a track. The houses you see there wouldn't have existed. These ones down here would. That house there would have existed, and none of this would. And these would have been later in the life of the railway line, but I don't think they were there when the railway was built. Now our next job is to get onto that embankment. I'm unclear on what this bridge was. I have been told by somebody who used to live local that this was a steel girder bridge, and it was taken down and repurposed further down the line, and I'll show you that when we get there. But there's nothing here to see, and I've got no photos. Our next trip is to get up onto this embankment here, and I'll see you up there. Pile of rubble down there. So at the moment I have come on to the embankment at the station side. I have managed to get on it and I've come up for a look just to see what there is. There's a pile of rubble, but I don't think it was anything. I'll turn the camera around. That's the thicket we couldn't get through. As you can see, it's wide enough for 2 tracks, because it was 2 tracks this. But there's a pile of rubble there. Whether that was something, I don't actually know. But on the station side of Station Road, this is what the top of the embankment looks like. There's not really anything else to see. I think I came across a bit of rotting wood, which is there. Potentially a fence post. But down there we've also got huge fence posts marking the boundaries of the property for the railway. I have got a plan of the station and the track layout leaving the station, which shows this bridge. So I need a sketch, a drawing, a plan drawing but I will put that up for you to have a look at. Now it's quite high, as you can see. House roofs, station road going down there, and our next job is to get onto the embankment at the other side. You see it's quite dangerous going down these slopes. I'm filming my brother because he usually falls, but he made it. And then our next place is to get up there. That is where we've just been. We've crossed Station Road now. This is a public footpath, the top of this embankment. I don't know how far this goes, but I will find out. And there's our stairs up there. You might think that looks like railway sleepers. That's because it is. Nothing to do with this railway line. They're in far too good a condition. So we're going to walk down here now. I'll keep peeking you over the side just to show you how high this embankment is. Massive feat of engineering. You can see how high I am to these houses. All these rooftops. Bear in mind, when this line was in use, none of these trees were here, and none of these houses down here. So you'd have had quite a view across there. We are going to continue down here, and I'll switch you back on when we come across something interesting. We've not come far from where I've just shown you. We've got a house at this side that was built in the 1920s. It's the only house there. But I want to show you out this side here. This is the village it served. This is part of Middleton on the Wolds. You can see the church in the distance there. But everything we're looking at down here is modern. New houses, and new houses over there. So all this would have been countryside, except for maybe a big building there. Not familiar with the area, could have been a town hall. We'll continue on down the line this way. I'm still on top of the embankment at Middleton on the Wolds. So far we've not seen any drains going underneath here to show you any culverts or anything like that. I have brought a torch with me, and if there are any and they are accessible, I'll get down there and we'll go and have a look and we'll film them. But as you can see, it's a lovely flat top, but people are planting trees. It has become a bit of a nature reserve and a public footpath. Now when I showed you back there all those houses, those wouldn't have been there when this line was opened in 1890. It would have all been open countryside, and it would have looked a little bit something like that if you can see through there. Although no matter where we go in this country now, we always see cars, but that's pretty much what you would have seen. The other side of the embankment had the 1920s house on it, and then over there it looks like there's a sewerage work through the trees. I can see that. You probably see a reflection of water. But again, there's no culverts going underneath this railway, unlike the one to Middleton that had water running at either side, and positively a river at some points because it was so wet. But we can see how lovely and flat this looks. You can imagine this being a heritage railway with these kinds of views right up here. We'll continue on the line and we'll see what else we can see. So a little bit further down you can see a clear pathway there, but here is all quite rough. And if we go down and look at this, we can see what's in it. Look, bits of clinker everywhere, small bits of coal. This is not mining country, so that's only come from one place. And our kid did pick up a bit of clinker, but he's just thrown it down. But there's quite a big piece there, look. Can I get you on camera? There you are, look, right in the centre of your screen. So we've got a lot of evidence for that. I just found a huge piece of metal, a nut. That looks burnt. So who knows, maybe that's part of the railway. We'll continue on along this embankment. We're still fairly high, 50, 60, 70 feet up. Massive piece of work building this. But I have seen photographs, and I did show you in another episode, where they were building a bridge and they had a steam crane on site. So maybe this wasn't just built by hand, but steam cranes were also employed to build it as well. That'd be interesting to know. Now my brother comes on these. He is knowledgeable about railways and railway history. He's had a look at that nut that we found on the floor, that lump of metal, and he's going to tell us what it was.
This would be a part of a nut and bolt system which would hold the fish plates to the rails together. So you'd have one rail, another rail, and you have a joint between in what's called fish plates, and the bolts would go through the rail and the fish plates just to tighten it up and hold it in place.
A bit further down the line on this embankment, Middleton being that way, Enthorpe being that way, we come across an area where kids have been playing on swings. And what's happened over the years is the side of the embankment has eroded away where they've been playing. Looks like chalk because it is chalk, and there is also tons and tons of clinker, slag and coal down the side here. There are some quite large bits of coal amongst that lot down there. But this gives you an idea on what this embankment is made of. We are on the Yorkshire Wolds. If you know your geology, you'll know what the wolds are made of, mainly chalk. So the embankment has been built from mainly chalk. I don't know where the chalk quarry was specifically that supplied the chalk for this embankment, but East Yorkshire had chalk quarries everywhere, and it still does have chalk and lime quarries. You see some quite big bits down there. I'll put that back. We'll continue on this embankment, which I do believe it turns into a cutting at some point, so we'll try and get down there. If there's anything else along the way, we'll show you that as well. Okay, so we're now come to the end of the embankment. Lovely walk. Just met a lady who was part of the volunteer group who are responsible for getting permission, managing, planting trees, looking after this section. Thankfully there are people like that to do that for old railways. But look, we're now level with the ground. The embankment will be now turning into a cutting through there. There is a main road at that side there, but all that has been backfilled. But what I'll do is I will walk right up to the roadside where there used to be a bridge, and if you remember what I said about the bridge behind us that crossed Station Road, that's where this comes into play again. But that is the end of our embankment. We're level for a bit and then we enter into a cutting, and I will go down there and I'll show you if anything survives. Our kids just shouted me across. We've got some stuff down here. What we got, Steve?
Just an old gate. There's obviously a fibre crossing here.
Yeah.
And we can probably just pull it down and just it here.
Oh, it is an old gate as well, isn't it? We can see the shape of that.
Yeah. And all the moss that's growing on it.
Yeah. Is there any iron work on at the end to be able to identify?
No.
Perhaps if it's clearly railway. It will be clearly railway. No other reason why this gate post would be here. It's just been out of disrepair and dumped at the side there. Absolutely brilliant to see that. Oh, and while we're here, this is why you have to look around before you move on. This is why it's good to bring somebody with you. We've got a gate post. A railway gate post. Look at the state of that. There you go. The ironwork is gone. There is a huge piece of wood on the floor there, but this is clearly an old gate post. And
Gate things there as well.
And there's lots of it around as well, parts of the old gate. And if I look at it here, we can see the shape of the gate post there. Behind me, where you see our kid, that is the embankment. We've managed to get onto the track bed here, but it's in such poor condition, as we're starting to go down into the cutting, we're not going to be able to walk on it, so we're going to have to walk at the side. As I was just talking to you, this is what we're looking at, and I've come onto it because it is so bad that you can see we're not going to be able to get through any of that. But you can see it's a cutting on both sides, and we're going to be walking down that side there up to the road where the bridge was. A bit further down from where I was, you can see the cutting is actually getting quite deep here now. I'd say that's 6 foot deep, but I want to come in here, so I wanted to show you there are boundary fence markers still in place. These fences, these posts, there's quite a lot, all down there, all up there, and we'll get up to the main road. Now that shot there is looking at Middleton on the Wolds. All the hedge line is the railway. There's the houses that we looked over to show you how high the embankment was. Goes into a cutting roughly in this hedge corner here, and then from about here the cutting has been backfilled. It got to about 6 foot deep, but it would have been a lot deeper by the time we get to here. The only evidence we've got now is that if you look on Google Earth, you can see it was a train line, you can follow it. But we've got some fence posts. It's all overgrown, it hasn't been reclaimed by anybody, a farmer or anybody like that, I don't know why. And then it would go here underneath this road. This is the A614. This had a humpback bridge on it, and what I want to try and do is get onto that road and show you where it crossed. Now I have managed to cross onto the A614. This hedge here, there used to be a humpback bridge here. Remember, this was quite a narrow track when this railway line opened, and it soon became obsolete for the use, and the road was widened. Now what I've been told, and I would love any photographs to support this, so if you have any, my email address is on my page. Look it up and email me, or get in touch with me somehow. It's a busy road, this. Station Road Crossing Bridge is over there, and I've seen an architect's drawing of that bridge, and it was stone arch, the one that I saw. But I've also been told that that was replaced with an iron girder bridge at some point. More than likely when that track, which was Station Road, was widened and became kind of again obsolete for the traffic of the day, because wagons were becoming popular, taking the trade away from the railways. Now this cutting went under here and went under this road, the A614, which is here. I'll come back in a minute when these cars have gone. The cars have gone. There was a humpback bridge here, and I was told that that girder bridge was moved here while they were doing some roadworks. But now it's all been filled in, demolished, no remains, there's no walls or anything. Now what we need to do is get across there to where that hedge is, because that's where our cutting continues. Now that is our A614, we've crossed over. We've got original railway relics, we've got a gate post here with some ironwork on it. And then we've got all these fence posts here. They do continue down there, but here's our evidence of it being a bridge with the road over the top. We go straight into the cutting. It must only be 8 feet, and then a sheer drop down, into a cut-in. I'll get down there and we'll have a look down the track and we'll see if we can access it. So that's our road edge up there, and it looks like we are going to be able to access this cut-in. It's a little bit overgrown. There is nothing left of that bridge. I suspect it was just collapsed and then used partly to fill it in, and then topped up probably with other spoil. But here we are, we're in the cut-in on the track bed once again. As you can see, it is fairly overgrown. We will do our best to get through as far as that as possible for you. Again, if we look down at the ground, we've got more evidence of railway. There you go, more clinker. Now this isn't a well trodden track like the previous one we were just on the embankment, so you never know, we might see some remaining. So I'll turn the camera off for now, so allow me to get through some of this, and I'll show you anything interesting, like this tree. Look at all these little boards of moss on there. How nice is that? So that has opened out a little bit, and we can see the erosion at the sides there, revealing the chalk of the Yorkshire Wolds. We've got a more modern telegraph pole built right in the centre of the railway line there. So with that being there, it might mean there might be access to it a bit better than what we've got. Nature's really taken over down here. We've even got a bird's nest in the tree up there. Clearly wide enough. Oh, and then it looks like it's going to open out into something more manageable, because at the moment me and my brother are getting our legs scratched with thorns even through our trousers. I think for this next year I'll be getting some thorn proof bottoms. Look at that. How magnificent is this? So we're going to walk down here now. Hopefully there might be some relics. If not, I'll just take a few shots every now and again just to update you where we are. That's where we're coming from. This is Enthorpe station, down that way. If you notice, we've got telegraph poles, modern ones, and that's the one that was in our centre there, following the railway line just like they used to do, so they're probably in close proximity to where the original ones were. But I've come here because you can see the embankment, or the cutting, has been altered here, and I want to show you what they were cutting through. That's your Yorkshire Wolds. That's why there's so much chalk and flint in this area, because you've got all those fossilised wee beasties from the sea. Now this cutting is quite deep, quite long, but it's not the deepest cutting on this railway line. That's at Enthorpe, at the other side of the station, and that'll be in the next episode, so make sure you subscribe for that. Perhaps this chalk was taken back that way to build that embankment, who knows. But we're going to continue walking down this way now, and I'll show you anything else that's interesting. Just a little update, we've come from this way from our cutting. It's now starting to level out. The land is raising around us. As you can see now, it's quite flat, almost embankment like, really. I suppose that's a bit lower here than what we are here. There has been fence post demarcation lines all along this railway, this embankment part. You can see them on both sides. This one here, some there's quite a group there might be something happening there, and then we've got more posts there. It's been like that all the way down. Now this looks like there's a farmer's crossing, so whether there is anything original here remains to be seen, and that's why we are here, to investigate this. We've got a concrete post. I can tell you that this concrete post is railway era, and it is the same type of concrete post that they've used all along this line. And then we're going to go down there. Oh, we've got a giant concrete post here. Again, same shape, same type of concrete. It looks like a laid down gate post. We're going to get a bit further down there and see what else there is. That's where we came from, and it levelled out. Fence posts all along the top. Same at that side. You can pick them out. And again, I'll just go to that side, you can pick them out, stood perpendicular there. And we're re-entering a cut-in. And we shall see where this takes us. Behind me is the direction we're coming from Middleton on the Wolds. And we've got a change of terrain again. That was all nicely manicured, but you can see there straight away the grass is getting a bit tougher and rougher. That's the way we're going, that way. We're in another cut-in. Probably the deepest bit so far. Keep getting my foot caught on things and tripping over, so I need to pay a bit more attention. That's the way we're going. Through those trees, that little archway there looks quite nice. Imagine this being a bit of a nightmare in summer. It is very early spring now in the UK. Doing this in 2024. Well, it's end of March 24 actually, so you'll be seeing this a couple of weeks later, I would have thought. But I needed to get down here before all this starts growing again and takes over. And we'll get down there and we'll see what we'll come across. The cut-in now is really quite deep up there, higher than a two-storey house, and up that side. This is not the deepest cut-in on this line. We haven't reached that yet. That will be in the next episode. We'll continue on, and I'll just keep showing you things as we go down here. The terrain has changed a little bit from grass sides over there, about where that fallen tree is, to it being sheltered, quite bare down here. My brother's picked up some more clinker. There we go. And we can see the embankment is quite bare. It may look muddy, that's because of subsidence and it's slipping down over the years. No disrepair. But we are keeping our eye open for relics, because if there is any, it could likely be around where it's bare and where we can see what is going on. I don't know how much further we're going to be able to get down here. It does turn into a field, farmer's field, at some point when it levels down, and we can't cross that field because we don't want to cause any damage to any crops, and we want to be respectful of what that farmer's doing. But this area is used for hunting. See a shotgun cartridge down there. Now this, to me, looks like a pile of railway sleepers that have been disturbed, rotted away, and virtually nothing left. These bottom ones are still in the position of where they were stacked up. Not many relics, but we'll take whatever we can get to show you what's left. I don't know how much further we're going to be able to get from that point, but we will have a look. So we're coming down there, beautiful little walk. You can see all the landslide down there. We're looking for relics. We've just seen what we thought was sleepers, and then my brother has pointed this out to me. Quite remarkable. If you know what railways are, there you go. Look at that. Been there since the mid-60s. probably not far from where it was found just then. A clip for the railway. What a great find that is. It's in poor condition, I'll give you that. Yes, and they still use those today. In some places I've seen them. But we are almost at the end of the cutting what we can access, because it's been infilled. Now it must be a mammoth task digging these things out. Look at it. Well, can you imagine if one of these is on your property and you have to fill it in? That in itself is a mammoth task. But we're going to get a bit of a preview on what this has been filled in. I imagine in 2,000 years time these places will be an archaeologist's treasure trove. He's just throwing everything down here. Look, tyres off tractors, there'll be all sorts in there. And because it's modern man's waste, I hope they're wearing masks and gloves. So I'll get on the I'll get on top of the embankment up there, and I'll show you what there is. That is our railway line. This is our filled in cutting, which then still remains a bit of a dip here. But if you look right across there, that clump of trees is a continuation of the railway line. This is now a farmer's field. We're not going to cross the farmer's field, but that goes straight onto an embankment, and shortly after that embankment is our next railway station, and I will join you on that embankment. Right, so I've made it across. That clump of trees is where our cutting has been filled in, and then it comes more or less straight onto an embankment where I am now. Now I am about 30 or 40 feet above that field there. So I suspect this farmer has done the reverse thing, taking this embankment away and pushed it in that cutting with a lot of other rubble. Telegraph poles still following the route of the railway, and this is what it looks like on top of that embankment. Now as flat, or as potentially as flat as the land that they've chosen, there's still a lot of cuttings and a lot of embankments on the way to Market Weighton. We've still got to get through our deepest cutting. This is quite a narrow track up here. It looks like it's mainly animal tracks. You can probably hear all this pulling on me. This is why I wear my ratty clothing. Sorry about that jerking around. I'm going to have to put the camera away. We're going to continue down this embankment. It's continuing to get higher. Probably about 50 or 60 feet now down to that field. And it's the same at the other side. I'll show you the ground. We've got the clinker still. Bits of unburnt coal. All down there pointing to this being a railway embankment. We're going to continue on. You can see how overgrown that is. Hopefully we can get through there, because there was something quite incredible down there, and we'll see you down there. It's now tough going on this embankment. My brother remembers using this as a cycle path probably about 30 years ago, that would go down to our feature down there. But I want to show you how high this embankment is. I know that cameras don't pick up perspective that well, but I won't fancy going down there. I mean, how high would you say that is, Steve? 80 feet?
Oh, plus, yeah, easy.
80 or 90 feet down there. We're going to continue on. Clinker everywhere, which is always nice to see, because there's your supporting evidence. There was a piece of metal in the ground there, but we're not convinced it's from the railway era. We're just going to continue on. No fence post up here, possibly down at the lower level. And alright, fast approaching where we need to be. we're heading towards the station. Now I'm at the end of this embankment and it was rapid. The Yorkshire Wolds are full of peaks and troughs, and you can see down there, this is where our highest point of the embankment was, and already we're back on flat land. Now I'm going to head over to where our brother is. Down there we're already heading into a cut-in, but there's no relics here, so we'll move on. That's where we've come from our embankment. Not a very clear path. It has opened up a little bit. We are in a shallow cut-in, 8 to 10 feet. We'll continue on. Now what you can see behind me there is a small occupation road, meaning a farmer's access. That direction is where we've just come from. Now if we'd been here 25 years ago, we'd have seen one heck of a structure crossing this. Quickly flipping the camera around, this is where we've walked. We've not been able to walk up there because it's been so overgrown, but that there, 60 70 feet, narrow road, but over there 60 70 feet. Now what used to be here, covering a little farmer's access, occupation road, you can see my brother there, so you can see how the scale on things, was a big 5-arch viaduct. Gone, demolished. I believe it was demolished in the early 2000s, possibly late 90s, I'm not certain. The reason it was demolished is because nobody wanted to adopt it or take responsibility for it. People used to cross it. It was a public footpath at the time, not necessarily official, but it was used. But also scouts clubs used to come here and abseil down it, and the council deemed it an unsafe structure, so they demolished it. Now I've been trying my best to get a photograph of this. I've not got any. I couldn't find any anywhere, and I've been searching for months. I spend a lot of time researching these lines. It's gone. No evidence of it. But what I have found is some plans on what this used to look like. So I will put those up and I'll show you what that viaduct looked like. I'm going to try and get up there because we can walk a little bit further along there, and then it crosses into a field where it's been infill as a cut-in, and then we're going to the real jewel of this part of the railway line, Enthorpe station. Looking around where the viaduct was, I know it was a red brick viaduct, and we do have some evidence covered in moss, red bricks. But what we've also found with my brother is what we think is where one of the supports for the viaduct was. They've left, so I'll show you that. This is the side that goes towards Enthorpe station, and down here lots of bits of red brick, but what we have up there is some brick in situ, so I'm wondering if that is one of the supports for the viaduct legs. Let's get up there. Now just before I get to the top, that's my stuff, you can see here the edge of the viaduct, and what we're looking at here now is my brother's pointed out that this bit here has been taken back, but if we go down there, I'm really hoping you can see that on camera, that this has still got the curve of the viaduct on there. I'm moving a bit closer and I'm really hoping that you can detect that. Not a lot left, but I'll take it. Right, let's get on with the line. Like I say, remember this viaduct, because we'll be coming back to this later on. Right, I'm on top of where the viaduct was. This edge here, all gone. Enough for 2 tracks. This embankment, nice and high. That bit is fenced off. we can't access that, but what we'll do is we'll just walk down the side there, get as far as we can, but this is almost it. That row of trees right at the back there is almost Enthorpe station, so I don't know how much further we can get now.
Fucking
Yeah, that made me jump. So this is our embankment, our viaduct is there. This is all fenced off, so we can't access that, but that's the track bed just in here. And then we go that way and we are pretty much at Enthorpe station. I don't think that's accessible, it is farmland. I know it's been filled in, so the next time you catch up with us will be at Enthorpe station. I have actually come down a little bit further, our viaduct there. This is our track bed. At that side it's been an embankment, and then at this side there's been a slight cutting back there, but now we've got a slight embankment, big embankment on the other side, and where them trees are, it goes into a cutting heading towards Enthorpe station. What I have done is I've tried to walk down this a little bit further, and this is all cutting. It all looks in really good condition, but we can't access it. So we're calling it a day at this point, and we're going to go down to Enthorpe station. We have got special permission to go on that land, so thank you to the owners for inviting us along, and that's where we'll catch up with you. It's a bit windy, sorry about that. You can see this cutting goes round, and then it's filled in, and then there's a farmer's field, and then it's the station, and that's where we'll pick this line up. We've made it through from there. Our railway line is there. It was a cutting that has been filled in, and we have got special permission from the owners of Enthorpe station to access this land. It is private property. Don't come here without seeking permission. We have got permission to be here, and we are now in what is Enthorpe cutting. It's not the deepest section because this is the approach to the station as we're heading towards Market Weighton. I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you what I can see, and I'll talk you through what was what. That is where we've come from. This has all been backfilled. Sorry about the wind, there's not a lot I can do about that, but as you can see, we are in a cutting. If I take you up to the edge there, this looks like we've got original railway fencing at the top of that embankment at that side, and we can see a cutting there. This is the track bed here, but at this point it was splitting off because there are some coal stores here, or there was. It is currently holiday homes around here, and if you notice, they are named after stations along the railway line. These are built out of old railway carriages or goods carts, so you can definitely stay here. It's called the wagons. You should look that up, so if you fancy stopping in one of these, which they do look rather nice, I would thoroughly recommend you do, because this area is beautiful. Now, our coal sidings and goods sidings went up this way, and we've got the remains of a building there. That is more than likely what was once potentially tools storage. Now we have got this platform here, you can see that going up there. It is not the original coping. The landowners have put a concrete coping on to protect what remains of the platform, thankfully. Some people do these with these properties. And again, we've got that building there, again made from a railway goods carriage, and that one's called Middleton because there were 4 intermediate stations on the way to Market Weighton. Now what we have here is a rare relic. That was a lamp post where you put your foot on there so that you could step up and light the gas or the tilly lamp, whatever they used to use before electricity. That side platform is gone. It does reappear further up there. This side is still in situation. Across there used to be a temporary, a waiting room, possibly made of wood, I'm not certain. And then you can see this one here, you can see the shape of that. Another one, railway carriage. It does look, I mean, they look lovely. So our coal sidings came up to about here. And they did stop before they got the station, as far as the station, which was approximately where this building is. It was demolished. The landowners now, the people that live in the properties that are here, told me that this place was just abandoned. Everybody moved out, so much so that even a couple of the local farmers moved away as well. I'll just show you this platform here. We can see that they've tried to preserve this one by putting an edge on it, thankfully. And we have got this huge lump of wood down here with the ironwork in it. Now that could be one long sleeper for some points. Uncertain. If you do know, please drop me a comment. We have got some photographs of this station, so we will be able to match them up. And here we've got the remains of where the sign used to stand. Now that, I don't know where the other one was, around there or possibly there, but on top of this used to sit the sign saying Enthorpe. Up there we've got the station cottages, which we will get there shortly. Over that side we've got another lamp post. There is another one down there as well, but we can see the platform edge, and I'm going to get down there and I'm going to get a close-up of that for you, and we'll have a look underneath the platform that we're walking on. There we can see it. The edge of that has been preserved quite well, because thankfully the top has been preserved. This one, not so much. Apparently this one was in a bad state. And then after the station, this is the site of the signal box where this building is. Now the reason that got done is because there were plans to reinstate this signal box. It hasn't come to fruition as yet, but the landowners wanted to make sure that this still remained as a building, and the way they did that was to use the footings and just build it up a little bit, just to make sure that it doesn't get lost. Once we've been to the station, we go through there. That is a railway bridge. We will cover that in the next episode, because that is where we will take off. Next we'll go up to the railway cottages. So our signal box there, this is where the crossing was, quite literally down here, and then this is our platform, and the station roughly is where the Enthorpe carriage is. It does look a lovely place. So this station opened on the 21st to the 4th in 1890. And the company that opened it was the Scarborough, Middleton and West Riding Junction Railway. Up there is the workers' cottages, the railway cottages, and this is the original station road. Now at the other side of that road there is what's called Enthorpe Cutting. This station didn't really serve any community, and it's took its name from an Enthorpe house and isolated farms in the area, and it provided mostly for freight. Two facing platforms have we seen. The main station was built on the down platform and was built single story. In 1911, the catchment area for this station had a population of only 109, and during that year there was 1,354 tickets sold. Now we've seen the concrete post that supported the sign, and we've seen what's left of the platforms as well. Now the three railway cottages which are here have been knocked through into one property, and it is a magnificent structure. Now we've got the original steps up here to the cottages. I'm going to take you up those because there are some air vents on this building that are exactly the same as the ones at Setterington. I don't want to show you into the private property, it is a private residence, but we have got permission, and I think it's important that we catch small details. As you can see there, they're slightly different, but they are almost the same as what they have at Setterington. What's so special about those? Well, they represent wagon wheels. And we've got another set down there. Absolutely beautiful. And I will now show you the view from these buildings, and then we'll go back down what were the original workers' steps, because it's quite privileged to do this. All them men, the railway men that went up them steps. Now the station's been down there. Coming from Driffield this way to Market Weighton, we start entering a cut-in. And what we'll do is we'll get up to the station gates, and there is a bridge at the end here, which I did mention, but we will cover that in the next episode. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for that next one. We have got a bit of a breeze going on, but what I wanted to show you is the driveway up to the house, because we have got another lamppost here. That one's been quite buried down. We've got that lamppost there, and you can see through the trees the top of the railway bridge. But the reason we're going up here is to show you the original station gates. I apologise about the wind here now. You can see we've still got the actual gate holder on the top there. And then at this side we've got the other post here, concrete posts in there. Come down here, we've got our little latch area. And the wind is getting strong, it's the end of the day for filming for us. We've got the bridge, and then over there we have a cut-in, and we will go into that in the next episode. Hi, my name's Pete, welcome to the channel. On this episode of the Driffield to Selby railway line, we're going from Enthorpe station, hopefully all the way down to Market Weighton. The line opened in 1890, closed in 1965, and we're going to go see what's left. I'm on the bridge at Enthorpe station. Now under this bridge I can go into the cutting and I'll show you under it, but we'll show you the top first. I'm out with our kid, so you might see him in background. So this is our bridge parapet wall. Down there is the railway, and that's Enthorpe station. It has all been infilled underneath this bridge. You can see the parapet wall is still in place. This was all going to be knocked down, but the current owners of the land at Enthorpe station and the houses there and the platforms did object to this being filled in, but they couldn't stop it. But what they did do is they stopped the parapet walls being knocked down on the condition that they maintain them. Now without people like this, all these sort of things would be lost. We can see it's red brick, blue engineering brick on the top. There's no maker's stamps on the top of these like there is on the Driffield to Middleton line, but they do look a very similar brick, possibly made by the same company. Now this bridge here has this fence on there, look, which means there's this gap here, so that must have been an original access through there. They would have built this like this, and we can tell by these stone copings on the top. So next we're going to go down into that cut-in. This is Enthorpe cut-in, the station being the highest point on the line. We are now dropping down quite significantly into Market Weighton. Now I'm down in Enthorpe cut-in, and what you can see at the top there is the parapet wall for that bridge, and this is all the infill that's behind me. Now remember that viaduct, the 5-arch viaduct from Warrendale up there? I've got some photographs of that and I'm going to insert those here for you. Well, it's here, in there, under that bridge. It was demolished and they brought it here to underfill that bridge. I'll turn the camera around, and it is a really deep cut-in. There are some photographs taken from down this cut-in, and I will insert those as we go down the line as well. Now there we are, we can see the top of the parapet wall up there with the blue engineering brick on. This is all infill. It's quite a deep cut-in at this point. I believe it gets to about 80 feet at its deepest from what I've read. And what they've done is they're putting some little wildlife corridors. We've got another one down here. Now my brother on his way down did spot some red engineering bricks up there from the viaduct. I didn't see those, but I'll show you they are there. This is all chalk bank. The cut-in is wide enough for two to go down. It's all overgrown, but when this was first cut it would have been brilliant white, and I've got some photographs that show that. There's our bridge. We're going to go down the cut-in. This has been designated a public footpath, even though there was private signs up. There is a Government Act of 2020. I have seen that. You can see the white chalk. So we're going to walk down here. It does widen up a little bit, look. And if we see anything of interest, we'll switch the camera back on, and I'll be taking some photographs on the way down. I've switched the camera on here because we can see the embankments of the cut-in at either side are quite clear. Now nature's been taking its course here, and you can see at that side where it's kind of held in place with the trees and the undergrowth, and then at this side you can see the slippage of where it's sheared down and come down. And instead of it being a nice cut-in at either side, it's sort of filled in this side a little bit. So we'll keep going on, and if I see anything else interesting, I'll be sure to show you. That's the way we're coming from Enthorpe station, and this is our cut-in. I can't tell you how deep, how big that is, you know, but I've got our kid to stand there as a bit of scaling for you. But this was a huge engineering job digging out this. This area is known to have ancient burial grounds in it, tumulus as they call them. And they had to disturb 4 of them to dig this cut-in. I don't know where they removed the bodies or opened up another tumulus and put them inside there, if there was anything left of them at all, that is. But they had to dig 4 of them up to build this cut-in. It's now an area designated of special scientific interest. And our cut-in just continues to get deeper, because I think it is 80 feet at the deepest point. And there are some photographs taken of some steam trains down that way, and when I get there I'll take some photographs and match those in as well. So we can see here the embankment is now dropping off quite quickly, so I've switched the camera off to show you that, because there are some photographs with trains coming along here. It's barely wide enough for one track now, because the subsidence has just caved it in at either side. We haven't come across any clinker, because that'll be all buried underneath all this. The years of undergrowth rotting down and mulching on top of that has covered everything. The only chance we've got of seeing any clinker is if there's any rabbit holes, and we haven't seen any. I'll turn the camera around and I'll just point out that embankment dropping down for you, and I'll insert some photos. As we're walking down the cut and we are scanning everywhere, it's widened out a little bit more here, but you can still see where it's dropped, and it's like it on both sides. You can see where it's caving in. Now you can see there quite clearly the lines of flint, chalk, flint, and there are huge lumps of chalk and flint on the floor. But my brother's just picked up the first bit of clinker that we've seen down here, so we do know that this was an active line, so we would expect to find things like that. And you can see the path is wider, and we are seeing a bit more of that clinker because it's getting worn down to the actual track bed instead of being 4 or 5 inches above it with undergrowth. So we'll continue on and we'll see what we'll come across next. Pointing you back to Enthorpe station this way, we can see this cutting now dropping off quite rapidly. Anybody who knows the Yorkshire Wolds will know how hilly it is. Up and down, up and down. And that's dropping off to virtually nothing a little bit further up there. But at the top of the embankment here, we've got a line of fence posts. Bit of fence, I don't know if that's original or not, but the fence posts definitely are, and they are dotting it all along. On that side, I can't see anything at the top of there, but it's quite a clear embankment, really wide here. Still a bit of slippage on the land, but then it hasn't got that much gravity to fight against at this side here, with all this growing in there and with it being a shallower cutting, and it's almost flattened out. Now I don't know if this goes flat or if it goes onto an embankment, but knowing the Yorkshire Wolds, probably onto an embankment, but I'll show you when I get there. Almost at the end of the cutting, we can see that side's quite high, this side here really low, so you can really tell they've dug that out on the side of a hill. Now it's a sunshiny day here today. It's done nothing but rain every other day in this country for months on end at the moment. And then if we look here straight away, we've got all them fence posts again. Railway era, no doubt about that. Dotted all the way along. I can see them up, I can see them for miles. I don't know how far you can see them. Something white on a fence post down there. It might be a bird. I'll have a look when I get there. So the cutting is almost gone. Enthorpe being that way, we can see now this side has gone to an embankment, and this side is quite flat but hugging that dale side. Slight embankment, deep embankment this side, but we've really got something worth showing here. I'm kind of hoping it's what my brother has identified. Oh, let me show you the floor as well here. All the clinker, bits of unburnt coal, huge piece there. But what's really important is this. This is the white thing that I saw on the fence post I mentioned. Look at that. For those of you that don't know, it's an insulator, and that'll be from the telegraph poles that used to line this railway, and somebody has found it and popped it on top of that fence there. So again, I'll take some photographs of that and I'll pop them on at the end of the video if you wanted to see that. So we can see the dales here are dipping down and up. That side's been quite level, but now we're going on to an embankment, and then it'll go into a cutting at that side. This side here is now quite a steep embankment, 30 feet down there. Still keeping our eye open for relics. What a nice thing to find that insulator was. We'll continue on and go down the line that way, heading towards Market Weighton. So apologies for the wind if you can hear it. A little bit further down the line we can see a cutting at that side, but that's a dale. And what's happening is, you can see it joins here, bit of a cut in, but then you can see the continuation of that dale there. Now this line is like this all the way now. We'll get down there because there are some bridges to show. There's fence posts still dotted in place. We're going to try and get a fair way down there, and I'll switch the camera on when we come across something interesting to show you. Enthorpe being that way, we're now on our first true embankment really, I suppose. Down there is actually stacked up, piled up here, and then you can see it that side as well. More embankment here. It's only a low one. Looks like it goes for a fair while, but you can see the hills rising in the background. You wouldn't have had much of a view here. Yeah, you'd have had some nice dales to look at, but not for far. We'll continue down the line. We're still on the embankment and we've come across a farmer's crossing. Now this is quite exciting because with it being an embankment, they've had to build a ramp up for the farmer to access, and it goes across the railway to where our kid is in that lot there. And I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm looking at. So that way is towards Market Weighton, and here it is. There is some fencing. I don't think much of that is original, but I can guarantee you that this crossing is original. Now I'll put my money where my mouth is on these gate posts here, these concrete gate posts. They are the same as what is at Enthorpe station. If you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it. You can see it's got the original catch at the top there, which must mean the other side has been replaced with a wooden one. But if I show you the top of it, you can see the shape of that's arched. I can't get to it any closer than that because of the trees, but that is a gradual ramp down into that field, and it crossed straight across here on an angle. I say straight across, it crosses on an angle about 45 degrees, and my brother's pointing this out to me. The remains of actually the original gate, wooden gate post, big old hinge on there. I suspect the other one will be down amongst all that lot on the floor somewhere. And marvellous, yeah, wooden gate post still in situ. Was the other one in place when we got here? No. What have we got on the floor in this area? More clinker. And there's your ramp up. This is still accessed at this point. But if anybody watched much Mountain Monsters, but that could be a Bigfoot nest. Right, let's move on. So I've switched the camera back on just to show you we're on quite an embankment at this side. This is all designated ancient forest, is that. That way is back to Enthorpe station, but the farmer has been on the embankment and scraped back the surface here for some reason. I don't know why. But you can see all this is clinker, coke, small bits of coal, all mixed in there. And if you'd gone down a bit deeper, like here, you can see what the embankment's made of. And he has done just there. I'll walk you over to it and we'll have a look. And we can see our top layer is all there. He's piled it up here, mixed up, but directly underneath it, where he's gone deep enough, we can see that this embankment is packed chalk, and I can tell you that is solid because it does pack down welder's chalk. We'll continue on the line down there and we'll try to get to these bridges. Just as I say we'll try and get to them bridges, we've come across another farmer's crossing. Gate post left in situ. And you can actually see the ramp down there. Come to the side here, you might get a better pick of it. I don't know how well you can make that out there, but it's here. Steep drop. And then if we have a look, we've still got metal work attached to this. We do have that piece of metal work there, and we've got the gate post at that side as well. And again, it goes across on an angle. Gate posts still in situ. Remember 1890, these were not built for tractors. These were cattle crossings. We've still got the gate here as well. And if we look at the metalwork there, the gate's even still attached to that. Now we will continue on the line and see what else we can find. We are just coming on along a sweeping cave now, that way to Enthorpe. We've got some fencing in there. Not convinced it's original, but it could be. I think some of it is and some of it isn't. And I know you can see the shape of that fencing through those trees. But what we're on now is all a bit of an embankment, and this is known as Enthorpe Bank. Before 1917, trains would have been just shoveling coal in here, trying to get steam up and get speed up to make it up to Enthorpe, because it's all uphill to Enthorpe. I'm not certain of the gradient. If you do know, please drop me a comment what this gradient is. But sometimes on this embankment and going up to the peak at Enthorpe station, the trains couldn't make it, so they'd have to get a second engine. I'm not really certain how they would have done that. Would they have left the train and walked back to Market Weighton? Because it's not far, it's only about a mile or two now. Well, maybe 3 miles actually. Would they have walked back? Because you couldn't back a train up because other trains would be coming. So would the fireman or a conductor walked back to Market Weighton? I say 1917 because before 1917 and before, when the railway station was built, I think in 1847, I think the trains arrived in Market Weighton. It had an engine shed, a 2-row engine shed, and there was one engine permanently based there, and that was to help get trains up Enthorpe Bank through the cutting to Enthorpe station, because it was such a steep gradient. In 1917 that engine shed was closed and turned into a second goods shed. So the technology was probably advanced enough that these engines had the power to get up here. We'll continue down the line. And from just telling you that, I've arrived at another farmer's crossing. There is a post here, and I know you'll be able to see the top of that one there a little bit better. It goes across on an angle again. I can't get any closer, you can see what's going on there. But this side here, we can get fairly close. We can see that it's got the remains of a gate there. We've got the gate post in situ, and at the other side there, embankment, we can see the ramp up to this crossing. Very much likely for horse and carts and just cattle, nothing else. Very unlikely any motor vehicle ever came through that gate. We are on our way to Market Weighton. We'll continue on. So we're walking away from our farmers' crossings here. This track bed was wide enough for 2 tracks, and then we come to this section here which goes in and then back out again to here. Yes, I can see that it's fairly white and fairly fresh, relatively speaking, and you might think a farmer's perhaps come and dug that out and wanted the stone for somewhere, but we think this was deliberate. because right at the top there, about where the distance of all the fence posts are, even when you go down to here where it's not dug out, you can see the fence posts of the railway. Now these, if this wasn't here, these fence posts would have continued along roughly about there and then joined these ones here, but instead they've gone round it, and they are the same type of fence posts at the top there. So we're just wondering what this part was. Perhaps there was a building here. Was there a plate layer's hut there? Or did they dig this out to build the ramps for the farmers' crossings? What are your thoughts on that? Drop us a comment. That way being Enthorpe, plenty of farmers' crossings. We've got another gate post here. Not much left of that. There is an iron catch at the top, so this was the part what the gate swung to. And it went across on an angle there, but this has all been modernised for farm equipment. There's no fence post across at that side. Just had a look across there, nothing remaining there, but the only clue that gave me away was this slope, because it doesn't match the landscape. Yes, it's huge and it's for modern farm equipment, but it would have never been that wide, as we've seen by the other ones. So we saw this gate post, so that's how we knew that this was one of the farmers' crossings. And you can see how wide that is for modern farm equipment. You think back to those other gates we saw, horse and cart at the best would have gone through there. So I'm filming this bit here because there's a farmer's crossing. There's nothing original left in this area, and I don't even know if it was an original farmer's crossing. But what I can tell you is that way's towards Enthorpe, and there's a change. That is where farmers have been using and running up and down. But then when we turn round, this is going into the Goodmanham section. This is your track bed. This is what is now all designated public footpath, publicly accessible. We can see a lot of fencing there, it's not original. And then this is all track bed. If we have a quick look down at the floor, we can see some disturbance, and we can see some clinker amongst all that. There's some red brick over there, I don't know what that's from. But this is going to be a bit of a battle to get through. I'll turn the camera on when I see something else of more interest. So as we were walking down here, we came across a little bit of an open area, and we were watching the beck, because there are no culverts going under this railway so far. We're on an embankment here, and all our crossings so far have been a level crossing or raised up to the embankment, but it's changing now because we're on an embankment probably about 30-40 feet high, and then we came across this, just stood here wondering what that was. Now we were told there was a bridge with the plinths knocked down. Now that is 7 feet high. I'm going to hang you over the edge. You can see that down there, because you will shortly, you'll get a better view. And then if I go to the other side, we can see how neat and tidy this edge is here, it's not collapsed. But then, blue engineering brick, and then of course we've got the plinths down there. So what we'll do is we'll go down there and we'll have a look at this bridge. That is what it looks like from down at the side of the embankment. Zoomed into it, that's what we saw. I'm going to zoom out so you can see that there. And it just looks absolutely lovely. Very, very poor condition. You can even see it's misshaped a little bit as well. It looks like the walls are coming apart that way. You can see subsidence marks up there. These supporting walls at the side. Just shot to pieces really. And then if I look down on the floor here, this is a bit of infill, this, because it's probably where that's been pushed over and knocked down. But it's still a lovely bridge. If we go inside, I'm going to go underneath it because it's got a huge crack in it. We've got the engineering bricks down here, we've got the blue brick there. Don't see any makers' names on them clearly, but we can see where there's water seeping through. Huge crack in it there. And then graffiti artists have been here. Lovely arch. We've got a gate at this side. There are sheep and livestock in that field. We've startled them a little bit, but we're not going to go any closer than this. Again, the plinth at the top, the parapet wall is gone, and the supporting sides here are just devastated. But what a lovely little bridge. So after being under that bridge, we'll get back up on the top there. We'll continue on. There is another bridge to come across. And we'll get there. We'll continue filming on. Hope you're enjoying it so far. We're leaving our bridge behind there. We're going to walk across the bottom of the embankment here, just to show you all these fence posts that are still in place. The only reason these fence posts would have been here to keep people off the railway, cattle off the railway, or livestock of some description. But you can see how overgrown it is with all the trees down there. At one time that would have been bare, and when it was brand new it would have been bare, brilliant white chalk. Now we wonder, me and our kid wonder, if these embankments, when they were in use before the trees grew up, if they were just black or very dark grey because of the clearing out of the firebox, all the clinker and slag going down the side there, all the bits of coke. So you know, this would have just been full of coke and slag. Now, part of the reason we stayed down here is because we come to another bridge. This is Goodmanham Bridge as well. This one is in better condition. We are on a footpath, as you can see. We can go around here. It's still fairly poorly maintained, I would have said, but it is a huge bridge. So this is another bridge. Look at the size of this one compared to the last one. This is huge. Much better condition. We can get up and down the bank there really easy, so we can see the top. The parapet wall at the top has been replaced with some concrete blocks. It's exactly the same design as the other bridge. I don't know who the architect was for this line, as in who did the bridges, but it was I think it was that chap called Andrews that did all the stations. But this is a huge bridge, absolutely massive. And look at this, it's even got your Department for Transport, Market Weighton, Driffield, bridge number 5. So that's who's responsible for looking after this. Now my advice to you is get down here, clear all this lot off, get it pointed up, and then you can forget about it for another 100 years. And we see that parapet wall at the top there has been replaced. We will get up there and we will get back on the track, back down that way to Market Weighton. And continue on the line, but we'll have a look off the top of this bridge first. Here we are on top of the bridge. That's the path we came round, this is the way we approached. You can see it there. You can see these terrible concrete brick walls. I wonder why they knock down the original walls. Were they unsafe? Who knows. We can see that beck is still there. We're watching that because it might go underneath, which might mean we've got a culvert. And this is what we're looking at from above. So we're going to switch off for a bit. We're all on embankment here. We've got to get through this lot to Market Weighton. There may be another bridge or two. I'm not certain. I thought there was only two, so those are a surprise. But we'll continue down here and I'll switch you on if there's something to see. So we're now well on our way to Market Weighton. We're in a slight cut-in. This is all public footpath, a byway at Goodmanham. You can see it's a slight embankment that side, probably about 10 to 15 feet, and that side probably about 5 feet. Fenced off, all private land to the left. We've pinched a bit of the railway, whether they bought it or pinched it, who knows. But you can see this is clearly wide enough for 2 tracks, and we'll continue on. I don't know what's down here, but let's find out. I'm showing you that gate post there because we're at another crossing, but we can't access that because someone's put this fence up and they're probably trying to privatise that land. But we can see it, we've got corresponding gate post at this side and another one there, and we've got to get on because we need to get to Market Weighton. And here we arrive at our next bridge, crossing Goodmanham Road. We've got our piers in place there. You know, it does look like it's got its original top on still, with some iron work up for safety. Now it is a huge bridge. We will go down and look at this one. You can see that gentleman over there is a bit of a distance away from me, but this bridge is massive. And it's got a culvert built into it as well. This is the first time along the line from Driffield. Oh no, it's not the first time at all. It's probably about the second or third time that we've seen water pass under this railway. Now me and Arcade have got to figure a way out to get down there to film the underneath of this bridge for you, and we'll have a look at that culvert as well. Here I am on Goodmanham Road, underneath Goodmanham Bridge. A huge substantial structure. I think the last bridge we saw this big would have been up at the Brackenbird Bridge. I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm showing you, and it's got something quite unusual as well. So here we are. This is a huge bridge, and you can see the parapet walls up there are original, still in place. We've got the Department for Transport number, which is bridge number 2, which means we must have another one to come across. But unusually we've got a culvert here which runs alongside this railway bridge. I'll show you the other side as well. We've got the blue engineering brick up there, big blue engineering brick up the side here. Right, so Department for Transport bridge number 2, that's this culvert here. But then immediately next to that we've got this road bridge. Now this has got a Department for Transport number on it as well, and it is not number 2, it is number 3. The bridge we saw back up there was Department of Transport bridge 4, MWD, Market Weighton, Driffield. I'll take you a bit closer to it so you can see it. There you go. I'll show you underneath the roof. We've got this staggered brickwork, that shape, going that way for strength. And then if we come around this side of the bridge, you can see it is a huge substantial structure. I don't know how long this took to make, but I suspect not that long, considering this line was started in 1888 and then opened by 1890. 2 years it took to construct this section of line. You can see a drainage point there. And then we'll go around to this side here and we'll go back to this beck stream, whatever you wish to call it. And I can actually get down to there. So we can get a little bit closer. And what I'll do is I'll just put my foot in the water slightly and I'll reach you out So you can see the other side there. Look at that. Now if I'd brought my wellies, I would have gone through there, but I didn't. Got these huge substantial sandstone plinths there, and our blue engineering brick all the way up there. Beautiful, lovely. We'll get back on the line, we'll show you what's left. It's now late spring. I started filming this line towards the end of summer 23. This is close to the end of spring 24. I'm going to go all the way down into Market Weighton railway station and we'll show you what's left. This is Goodmanham railway bridge. We've got our Department for Transport number on there. This has got water going under it and it is attached to this separate bridge here, which is huge. An absolute massive structure, and it is very, very attractive. And you can see we've got some plates up there, and we can see the shape of the brickwork here. And the detailing in there, and we've got our plinth. Then our 5-course bricks around the arch, and then we've got these huge cornerstones, and then the water access there. And now it's time to get up on top of there. This is our view off the top of the bridge. Metalwork, fairly modern concrete casting top, and that's the back of our supports there with this ironwork. And just looking at the other side, huge pillars. You can see the stone working on there. Got the lines and tool marks. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on this camera, but there's a road there, and then up through there there's a road sign, and that is another railway bridge, and that is the Beverley to York Railway. Very controversial closure at the time, and that joins at a junction further down this way. This is our line towards Market Weighton. Joins at a junction down there where there is a photograph what we can match up, or try to, but that's our direction now, and we'll get down there and we'll show you something that's interesting to see. Just a short way from our bridge over there, I'm out with my brother, and he's noticed that the banks of this embankment have been shored up on either side. Now it is a public footpath, this, and what we can see where it's been shored up in the ground here, I hope you can see that, more clinker. There we go. That one is quite a small piece, but there is literally loads of it, and potentially there's probably even ballast amongst all this, but it's like it shored up, and it's been dug through for a public footpath. And we're going to continue on down there, and we're going to get to this junction. Goodmanham Bridge not being far up there, and already we've come across, you can see in there, some concrete, metalwork, and we see where our kid is. We've come across another occupation bridge. Let's have a look how high we are. We are a good height on this one, and it doesn't look like it's possible to get down, but I will try. I've made it down. This is the bridge. I'll put some photographs at the end of this video of these bridges. I do know there's another occupational bridge down there as well. Reasonable condition, but don't get me wrong, you won't want to be on a train going over that. It's not too bad. I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you it. Here we are, the occupation bridge. So I'll just go into some close areas for you. You can see you've got sandstone top there with tool workings on it. We've got huge blue engineering coping bricks, massive. Some have come away there, they're not on the floor. And then that's this side, you can see it's starting to lift here. Just in there. And then this arch is absolutely huge. This place is as big as a house, 2-storey house. And then it's quite uniform on there, there's no angle on it like what there is on many of the other bridges. And then we'll come out into the sunshine. As you can see, it's just out in the countryside. It was only ever a farmer's access or an occupation bridge. And again, we can see the roots under there lifting that one up, but over this side is absolutely, look at that. I hope you can see that tree growing in there, pushing out those engineering bricks. Do you know, these engineering bricks are so beautiful that they just need saving. They don't need to be left here. There's that one there. I was hoping I might have been able to see a maker's name in there, but I can't see anything. And there's nothing stamped on the top of any of these like there is with some of them. So next we're going to get back on top of here and back down the line. The direction behind me is Enthorpe station, and there are hardly any relics left on this railway to say that there was something here. But down there, me and my brother, we've spotted what looks like a remains of a telegraph pole. We'll take it. I'll take you through there and I'll show you it. So we've found a couple of fish plates here. There we go. Dug out the soil there, they were just poking out. We've got some clinker. But that's amazing. Absolutely incredible that we've found these. And exciting. And what else we have down here is this. The remains of a telegraph pole. Absolutely rotten down there. But that is of railway era, and telegraph poles used to follow railway lines, and that's what we've got. In one spot we've got the telegraph pole and the fish plates. Now we're going to carry on and go back down the line, and we've got a junction to get to next. I've just gone back to these fish plates because I thought it was 2 small ones, but actually it's one fish plate that's broken. That could be why it was discarded and left here. And if we look at this hole here, these are meant to be perfectly round, but you can see from the shape of that it's a used fish plate, and that'll be created by the vibrations of the locomotives running along the rails. And look at this, it is almost a perfect match. Moving on from the fish plates, going back to the telegraph pole there, look what else has just been found in the undergrowth. I'm hoping you can see that. A tensioning rod to hold up that telegraph pole. Now that really is time to move on down the line and get to the junction. Fast approaching Market Weighton railway station. We are now at a junction. This is, I'm on the Driffield branch to Middleton, and then just over there is the branch to Beverley. There are some relics here, I will show you these. That's the way to Enthorpe station. This railway line down here goes off to Beverley, all disused, but what we have here is the demarcation boundary line of railway property. We've got this fence post here, still with the ironwork on it. Now I'm going to go to the top of this fence post here, because we're going to look down there and we've got a line of fence posts. These are all modern wooden ones, none original ones down there. That's the Middleton, Filey, camp line. This way we can look down and to the right is the Beverley line. Now, Market Weighton was a junction station, and it opened in 1845, I think 1846. I'll be accurate with that a bit later on. But we've got a lot of original fence posts on this side of the line. This will be coming in a future episode, so please subscribe to the channel to see that. Now I'm on farmland, and now I'm entering what would have been railway property. And then there's a junction down there, and there is a photograph taken from a little bit down there looking towards the junction, towards the railway station, and I'll try and match that up. It's going to be really difficult. So from where I am now, I'm looking towards Market Weighton railway station, Market Weighton Junction Railway, and I am at a junction. Where my brother is standing is the Beverley line. This one here is the Filey, Bridlington, Driffield line, the one we've been following. A little bit further down there, there was a signal box. Approximately where I am, there was a photograph taken. It's a little bit behind me because I've got some strong evidence. Because in the photograph I've got, you can see the roof of a plate layer's hut in between the junction, almost where they join. And here we've got a concrete base. And then we've got bricks in there as well. I've actually just buried them by mistake, but this is a concrete base. That's all flat, and I think this could be the plate layer's hut, which means in there is roughly where the photograph was taken, looking that way towards the signal box. You can see the Beverley line coming in. You can see the Driffield line coming in, and you can see the top of that plate layer's hut. So that's roughly where our plate layer's hut was. This is the Driffield line. We can't access that anymore. It's too overgrown. That's the Beverley line. And then it gets really wide because there was 4 tracks here. But it does open back up into a public footpath, and you can see where that crook is. This is where all the lines joined, which puts our signal box just a little bit further down. Now this is all public footpath, and we've got the names of the public footpath here. I will show you that sign, because that sign is approximately on the Driffield line. The Yorkshire Wolds Public Bridleway. So we're looking back, that's how wide it is. And then down there, we're almost towards Market Weighton. That's from Driffield. This is now 4 tracks wide, roughly. And you can see how wide this is. From this hedge right over there. Now if you remember what that picture looked like, you can see how wide it is. And we're hoping to find the location of the signal box. So that way is from Enthorpe. We think here is where east box was of Market Weighton, the signal box. Now going out all that way, it's been dug out. That is now a floodplain because all this was built up to support the railway, and they built a culvert that goes underneath to carry a beck, and it comes out over the side. Where you can see it heading off this way is where the coal drops were. There was also a goods shed here, all gone, demolished. Straight ahead is where the station was. Roughly about where that truck is where the line would have been running through there. To the right of down there would have been an engine shed and a turntable. But we're going to have a quick explore around all this site and see what's left, if anything, to see what we can see and try and match up some photos. On this episode we're going to be continuing the Driffield to Selby Railway. We are now at Market Weighton railway station, Market Weighton Junction railway station. I'm going to show you around, see what's left today, matching some photos. I'll tell you a little bit about it, a little bit of history around Market Weighton as well. Stay tuned. Our railway lines there, this is all railway property, and we've come at the very edge of the coal drops as they start. And if I point to the ground for you, I'll pick out some pieces. This looks like ballast. Coal. Move to the edge here, look. There is coal literally scattered everywhere. More coal. Mixed in with little bits of ballast. Now if I show you down there, you can see there's a bit of an embankment. Our coal drops go around that way, but not very far, and we'll see if we can get any sort of pictures. There is actually some footage of the coal drops in operation, and I will show you those. This is where our lines came in, and we've got the embankment here. This is the embankment for the coal drops, and we think there is an original building still left over there. All this has been dug out. There is no sign of the goods shed that once stood here, and the railway station that was over there. So what we'll do is just get over this embankment onto the other side. Now I need to be careful because there's private properties there, but there is this old building there. Now that matches up with the maps for the goods yard, sorry, for the coal yard. It's just this building here. Now you can see all this wasteland there. This is the coal yard. We can't access that, even if we could. It's overgrown and there's no way to get through it, but I do know that there's nothing left there. On the other side there is a culvert, because I'll take you back up here. You can see this is going uphill, this is an embankment, and that's where it's all been dug out in there. That's been dug out as a floodplain for that side. That culvert's gone. We're going to go down and explore this one here, because underneath there runs a beck that was all covered in. All this land was built up and squared off for all the railway lines that were coming in, because we had our coal line down here, we had the railway lines through the station, and then we had another one at the side of them houses going up that way, and that was towards the goods shed, and up until 1917 where a turntable was. Coming round the other side of the coal drops, which are here, and all this wasteland here, we've got a culvert. Now that culvert is railway era, because all the land up there was built to support the railway, and they culverted the beck in so they could get the lines to cross. And with it being a busy junction station, they needed all the land they could get. So this is really quite a long junction. The other end is all modern, and this is the only original part left of the culvert. I suspect underneath it will be amazing brick arches. So we'll get back up there and we'll try and match up with the station. So here I am, Station Road, Market Weighton. I'm going to head up Station Road. We'll show you what's left of the station, a great deal, and I'll tell you about it as we get there. So this house was originally here, And as we walk up to Market Weighton railway station, it was a junction station of the Selby to Driffield and York to Beverley lines in the East Riding of Yorkshire in England. This station opened in October 1847 and served the town of Market Weighton. It had what was called an overall roof, which means a covered roof, and that was removed in 1947, and it was replaced with steel awnings. It closed after the last train ran in the 27th of November 1965, and it was part of the Beeching Cuts. When this railway station opened, it was opened by the York and North Midland Railway, and it was completely closed in 1965 on the 29th of November. While it was closed, it was actually described as being mothballed because the lines remained in place for 2 years after closure. It had a 2-line engine shed, and one of them housed extra locomotives to help trains get up Enthorpe Bank, where we've been, if you remember that big old cutting. As you can see, there's not a lot left here today. It did have 2 facing platforms, and was designed by George Townsend Andrews. He was the gentleman who did all the buildings on this railway line. They were all very similar, and this station did actually look a lot like Driffield. The goods yards was split. There was the coal yard over here, there was the goods shed there. This entranceway was the original entranceway, but it cut through where them bungalows are, and the station is roughly where those houses are. Now, Market Weighton, whilst it wasn't the busiest station, it did occasionally turn profits. But when this station went, Market Weighton lost everything. You could get everywhere in the country from here. We could go to the Bridlington Scarborough lines, we could get to Beverley and Hull, we could get over to York, and we could get to Selby, which would take us to Leeds, which would take us on the main branch lines. Now I'm going to go to that corner there and I'm going to show you a bit more of what's left. Before we get to where the main road crossing was, this is what's left at the top of Station Road. We've actually got where the gates used to close, like a kiss gate. We have got an original concrete post here, still with some ironwork at the bottom there, and down here and up there. And then if we go across to this side, this one is wooden, which is extremely rare. As you can see, it's got that classical dome shaped top for this railway. We've still got the gate catchment area on it there as well. Now, with the railway station being over there and demolished, the next thing we're going to do is go onto the main road and show you where the crossing was. So here I am, back on the track bed of the Driffield to Selby railway. These buildings are station houses. This is all that remains. They are absolutely beautiful. Again, designed by the same person who built all the stations. The line ran here, exactly where that house is, and the platforms would have been either side of that house. There was a footbridge about here that goes up. I've got lots of photos to match up for you. And then the railway continued on down that way. Roughly on this corner here was the west box of Market Weighton, and this is where the gates were opening and closing. That side was the goods yard. Now I have got some footage of the goods yard running, and I will try and match them up, and I think it was taken from the footbridge which is behind me, which is here. But we'll get a little bit closer to these houses. All the buildings that are railway related along this line had that very distinctive chimney at the top there. I don't want to be there too long because it is private residence. This is the station. It's all gone. It's demolished. There's nothing left except what I'm showing you today. Now, the railways did bring people to Market Weighton. This is the site of the turntable. This was gone by 1917. Now, I don't know if it's my imagination or wishing, but to me it looks like I can see a curve going round there. Is it something, or is it my imagination? And it's a little bit sunk. The goods shed was here. This was originally an engine shed. It had 2 lines going through it. And by 1917, that was also closed and turned into a second goods shed for the station. Complete redevelopment. This is where the station was. All the buildings, platforms, everything gone. Now I'm going to take a load of photographs and I'm going to try and match them up, and I hope you enjoy what you're looking at. Just as we were leaving Market Weighton, we saw an old cemetery across the road from the station, so we thought we'd have a walk round, and we found this. There you go, I hope you can see that with me. In loving remembrance of Tom, the beloved husband of Anne Sanderson, who was killed at Market Weighton station on the 29th of May 1885, aged 39. Now, I wonder if he was a railway worker. Interesting. So behind me you see the station houses, what remain, and I'm stood where the turntable was. There is a definite depression here, and it wouldn't surprise me if you dug down, if you actually came across the ring, concrete ring or brick circle of some description underneath this if it was to be excavated. Now that's maybe why they've not built on it, because they didn't know what was under here, but everywhere else they built on because they cleared it themselves. Now, if you know anything about this railway line, email me, send me a message, because I'm collecting all photos for it, because I'm going to do a recap video where we're going to just quickly head back to Driffield, nip along the line, because I've come across rare and unseen photographs, and I'm going to share them with you. I've got permission to do so, as long as I credit the right people. So if you've got anything, send it to me as soon as you can, so that I can put this video together. Reach out to me if you live along the line, if you've got stories or anything. So we'll just do a recap, because we are going to go from Market Weighton to Selby, but that is going to be in the second season to this series. In the meantime, please like, share, subscribe. Comments really help. I love to hear personal touches about these places, so please write something for me, and I'll see you in the next one.